Hello all, welcome to this class on development of lateral surfaces of solids. And in this class, let's solve problem number 2. That is, a pentagonal prism of base side 30 mm and axis length 60 mm rests on HP on its base with a base side inclined 45 degrees to VP. It is cut by a plane perpendicular to VP and inclined 40 degrees to HP and passing through a point on the axis 30 mm from the base. Develop the remaining surfaces of the truncated prism. So let's try to solve this problem. So again, what you'll have to do, so this problem is a bit similar to the last one, that is like the square prism. So again, let's try to draw a XY line, a reference line, that's just a partial one, as we'll have to develop the lateral surfaces on the right hand side. So let's try to draw XY and VP, HP. So VP and HP. So see that, let's try to draw a prism. So you can, as I told, you can use this applications, macros, run macros, else you can use this, what to say is this, using keyboard, and that itself also you can try to draw it. So let's try to use that keyboard itself. Let's try to use a visible line. So first draw a line. So just leave it and use your keyboard now. So to draw a prism, you need length and angle. So angle combinations are 0, 72, 144, 216 and 288 for a prism, for a pentagonal prism, basically for a pentagon. So 30 length, 30 tab, 0 enter, 30 tab, 72 enter, 30 tab, 144 enter, 30 tab, 216 enter, 30 tab, 288 enter. So now the question is, so they are telling a pentagonal prism, okay, rests on HP on its base. Okay, they are telling it's resting on its base with the base side inclined 45 degrees to VP. With a base side, that is one of the base sides is inclined at 45 degrees to VP. Okay, it is cut by a plane. Okay, now what we'll have to do is we'll have to draw a line such that, let's try to draw a normal line such that one base side is inclined at 45 degrees to that. So now let's try to make it 45 degrees. So 45 degrees. So one base side has to be inclined at 45 degrees to it. So what we can do is first we can try to select this. So let's try to move that a bit. So let's try to make this, this side, wherever I've highlighted, that side itself has inclined to this 45 degrees. So you can incline anything. So let me try to do that. Let me try to incline that. So what you can do first thing is, first you can pick at this edge and try to, so this corner, and try to place it there first. Okay, so now I've picked at that corner and I've placed it. So now what I can do is go to rotate and select this pentagon. So fix that point and rotate about this point like this. Okay, now I have what I have done is I have not switched off the copy. So that is, it's very important even that you try to switch off the copy. So see that you try to, while you're rotating, see that you try to switch off the copy. So fix this point. So let that be the center and let this be the point to rotate from. Let's try to rotate like this. So now you can just see this point is inclined at 45 degrees. You can even try to show that. So here you may not get it correctly, but generally you can just see here in that box. So here you can just see in this box it is shown at 45 degrees. So let me try to delete this. So yeah, here has isometric dimensions are shown. Okay, now what you can do is you can try to name this pentagon. So let me try to start naming from here. So as I told, you can name anyways. You can try to name only the top, or you can try to name both. So let's try to name both. So A1, and similarly this will be BB1. So similarly this will be CC1. This will be DD1. And this will be EE1. So let's try to move those points. To an appropriate position and place it. Okay. So now what we can, okay, let's try to place it like this. Okay. So now what you can try to do is go to normal line and draw projections till here from each corner. Okay, so now we have drawn projections from each corner. So apart from that, we will have to even draw it from the center, or from the center also is important. So what we can do is, let's go to one of the side and get its center and try to join a normal line to its opposite corner. Similarly, from another side, let's try to find a center, join it here. So now we found out this is the center. Let's try to draw a normal line from there also. So that normal line is nothing but, so let's make it center line. Okay, so now what we'll have to do it is, let's try to draw a center line from here. So they're telling the in the question it's given as the base side is 30 mm and axis length is 60 mm. You can just see in the question itself it is mentioned as 60 mm. So let's try to make it 60 mm. Let's make that as the axis length. So keeping here, let's try to enter 60 mm. So let's try to make that 60 mm. So now what we can do is, using normal line itself, let's first draw it. So let's try to draw it, because later on only the lower portion of the prism only will be drawing it, will be making it visible. So using this alignment indicator, so let's try to let's try to join the outer portions of this pentagonal prism in the top view. So okay, so now let's join this by so from every corner let's try to extend that projection. Okay, so now we have done everything. So now you can just see we have just drawn all those projections, everything. Fine. So now what you can try to do is, so now they are telling, so at exactly at the midpoint on the axis, so you can just see in the question, it is cut by a plane perpendicular to VP and inclined 40 degrees to VP, and passing through a point on the axis 30 mm from the base. So you can just see axis length is 60 mm and 30 mm from the base, in the sense on the axis it's exactly the midpoint. So exactly at the midpoint on the axis, let's try to draw this cutting plane, and that cutting plane's angle is also mentioned clearly, that is 45 degrees. So it's cut by a plane perpendicular to VP and is inclined 40 degrees to VP. So that point is very important. So now let's try to just go to cutting plane, and exactly at the midpoint here in the axis, so this is the axis line. So let's try to draw a line such that its angle is 40 degrees. So enter 40 degrees, so just leave it. You can just see, and let's try to change the here this cutting plane. So now what you can do, you can try to go to extend to next, and try to extend this line. So we have just extended that line. So now it's quite simpler, just like similar to last problem. What we did is, wherever it is cutting, the portion below to it will be making it visible. So from here to here will be made visible, from here to here. So all these portions to be made visible. So all these portions are now made visible. So before that, even let's try to name it. So if this one is here, this one will be A1 dash, A1 dash, and this one will be A1 dash. So let's try to name this A1 dash, and this one will be B1 dash, and this point is going to be E1 dash. So this point is E1 dash, and this point is C1 dash, and the last point is D1 dash. So C1 dash, and this one is going to be D1 dash. So using move option, let's try to name it, let's try to place it correctly. So this one is A1 dash, B1 dash, E1 dash, C1 dash, and D1 dash. So similarly, the top faces are going to be A, B, E, C, and D. A dash, B dash, E dash, C dash, and D dash. So this one is going to be A dash. This one is going to be B dash. So this one is going to be B dash. So this one is going to be E dash. So name that E dash, C dash, D dash. So using a move option, now let's try to okay. Now let's try to do this. So I think we have named everything. So now wherever this cutting plane is cutting this A dash, this front view. So let's try to name that as well. So it is trying to cut the cutting plane at A dash, A1 dash. So let's try to name that as 1 dash. B dash. Let's try to name that 2 dash. And at C dash. So we'll name it 3 dash. D dash. Let's name it 4 dash, and E dash. Let's name it 5 dash. Now let's try to move it. So 1 dash, this will be 2 dash, this will be 5 dash. So here it is quite clear, just not like the previous problem. So it is quite clear here. So now let's try to, already there are projections here extended. So at A1 already there is a line that is nothing but, I mean already projections are there. So at A1 you have 1, at B1, so whatever that point that you can name it as 2, at C1 we'll name it as 3, at D1 let's name it 4, and at E1 let's name it 5. So that point let's name it 5. So now let me move it. So let's try to even place it within this pentagon also. 1 2 3 4 and 5. So now we have named everything. So now we can try to reduce this length of this XY line. So by trimming that and now trying to draw it, and let me move this. Okay. So now let's try to do the development. So the development, as you know, here you have 5 points: 1 dash, 2 dash, 3 dash, 4 dash, and 5 dash. So you can just see overall you have A, B, C, D, and E. So 5 points you are having. So when you have 5 points, you can try to draw like 5 rectangles. So that is very important. So the rectangle's dimensions are again 30 cross 60. So using this alignment indicator, let's try to draw a rectangle like this. So the dimensions are 30 cross 60. So let me finish this rectangle. So now using mirror option. So let me try to select this, and so let's try to draw 5 rectangles here, and now let's try to name it. So let's try to name this A, B, caps A. So this will be B, C, D, E, and back to A. And similarly at the bottom it will be A1, B1. So everything in caps. So B1. So you can name it, or you can try to leave these points. The top one are very important. So even in the last problem, sometimes we named a few, we ignored a few. So that is okay, not an issue. So see that you try to name it sometimes. So okay, now let's try to move all those points in an appropriate position. So this will be A1, this will be B1, this will be C1, this is D1, and similarly this is E1 and this is E1, and this is A, this is B. So A, B, C, D, E, and A. Okay. So now let's try to draw normal lines. So one dash. So one dash it's cutting at A1. So at A. So A is still here. So one dash we are going to extend the line till here. So two dash cuts at B. So B is still here. And three dash cuts at C. So C is here. D dash at 4. So 4 is still D. And E dash is at 5. So so at E. So 5 dash is at E. So now let's try to name it. So see that you're trying to. So 1 dash, as I told, it's at A. So A. So this one is going to be 1. And similarly, even this also 1. And 2 dash is at 2. So this point, it is 2. And this one is 3. And this is 4. And this is 5. So now let's try to move that. So using move option, let's try to place it correctly. Now this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, and this is 1. So now we'll go back to line. Let's join all those points using a visible line. So now let's try to start from here. 1. So this is 1. So 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 1, 1 to here, A1, and back to here. So now let's try to join all this the lower portion using the visible line. So I think we have completed the entire problem now. So that you can name it as this. So this portion is the development portion. So you can try to name here development. So with that, even that completes the problem. So I hope you understood that. Thank you.